Why do we as human beings who have food everywhere need to actually like write this stuff down and plan it out? Well, think about it. That's kind of crazy if you think of it from like just an evolutionary standpoint. Like at some point we had to build gyms to like drive our cars to so that we can go exercise, and we have to write like schedules down in order to eat. From an evolutionary standpoint, that's kind of crazy. Why do we need to do it? Why is it necessary? I think it's necessary. Give me a step. Like, let's brainstorm this one. Yeah. And on top of that, when you go through the drive-thru at McDonald's, are they serving like grass-fed beef and Brussels sprouts? No, absolutely not. 90% of it's shit. Okay? So if you've gotten into like agriculture or farming or food system, like eventually I felt like as a responsible nutrition coach that eventually, like, I work with enough people, like, even take my fat story, like, I got overweight, like, I knew better, I was an athlete, like, what made me fall off the wagon? Why do so many people start a meal plan, or a diet plan, or an exercise program, and then fall off the wagon? Why is that so common? Why does it happen so often that we have a nickname for it? Fall off the wagon. Like, it happens, so we have to call it something. Yeah, and we're gonna get into that a little more depth. So accountability is a big factor. Food system's a big factor. The fact that when we go into a grocery store, that's what we see. That's like 90% of the stuff that we see. Rob Wolf has a talk. If you guys haven't checked out Rob Wolf, fantastic guy. I got the chance to write for his site, be on his podcast. I've learned a lot from him, but he had a talk called "If You're Fat, Sick, and Broken, You're Doing Everything Right." And it was a miraculous talk. It was brilliant. He's a research biochemist. He's got a lot of sciencey jargon in there, but it's basically like you have this human brain that's designed, basically what he was just touching on. Food is generally pretty laborious. You have this human brain, this genetic wiring to eat the most flavorful food that you can and eat as much as you can until you're completely full, right? That's just like the human genome. As a matter of fact, that's most animals, because in a natural setting, food is very labor intensive to get. You have to actually farm the sweet potato, cut it out of the ground, you have to clean it off, you have to go the whole 9 yards to make it. Animals, you have to hunt the damn thing down. You have to catch it. Usually it's faster than you. You're a little smarter than it. Boom, you win. You have to drag it back. You have to clean it. You have to gut it. It's hard. So whenever you can eat, you better. So you take that human brain and you put it in a system like this where food is readily available, especially around World War II. Our farming system changed to like the corn, soy, wheat, like yield model, as much as we can churn and burn. Naturally, the quality went down there a little bit, and it's estimated now most food farmed in the United States is missing about 30 to 80%. It's kind of a big gap, but 30 to 80% of its natural nutritional value. So you can be eating an all organic whole foods diet, and what you could have been eating about 200 years ago when the farming system was just flat out different, you're getting less nutritional value out of it. And so given that that's most of our options, and it's beautiful, like that looks, if that doesn't look delicious to you, you're crazy. They spend a lot of money to make sure that looks good to you. Don't feel guilty about it. They make focus groups just like this, where they put these boxes, they put that box, and they put that box in front of you, and they say, which one looks better? And you're like, I like that one. They're like, we're going to sell this one then. And then they do that hundreds, thousands of times over to make sure that they're selling you the most beautiful looking product ever, to make sure that there's a 5-year-old inside you that just wants to run and tackle that with your mouth open. Okay? So you have to plan. It's something that I've nicknamed the environmental mismatch because of that. You have these human hunter-gatherer brains, this limbic system. You guys get into biology. This limbic system that's genetically driven to eat as much as you can of the most flavorful food possible, because in a natural setting, flavorful meant nutrient dense. It doesn't mean that anymore. It actually means mostly sugar, mostly starch, and weight gain. Okay, so it's not usually a lack of willpower. Okay, don't feel shame because you got to make a meal plan. You're just, I think in my mind, recognizing the rules that you're up against. Is it evil? No. They're profiting. When you profit, your job is to make it for this and sell it for that. Okay, that's what we all do in our own business, in our own lives. We want to work and make money. You just got to recognize the rules of the game. Now, on top of that, it's act like gutter bumpers. Okay, so I have this little image there. Just think it's something to kind of guide you along. It should be flexible. You should be able to roll at your own pace. Okay, but a meal plan is something that kind of lets you know when you're getting out of hand and maybe need to check yourself and Kind of just like just enough structure for you.